Hi, I'm Angela Ambrosia, and welcome to I Love Mondays. So the next 4 videos will be on new romance. So I'm talking about both new romance for bringing that romance into your life for singles, and if you're in a relationship, new romance that can be reinvigorated or reclaimed when you're in a relationship and the romance has left the building. So today we're looking at new romance and how to choose the right partner. There's a lot of talk about this, how to actually go online dating and pick the right person, and there's strategies and tools for that. I'm not a big fan of strategies and tools because most of my relationships I have actually come across in my life by accident. I'm a much more bigger fan of that divine accident that pushes or pulls two people together, and definitely sometimes in my experience I've been pushed together by some unseen force into a new romance. So that's my fascination. I think I've always been obsessed about that since I was a girl, and I wanted to have that experience of something kind of taking over me or pulling me into something. So today, as we develop new ways of building relationships, long-term relationships, casual relationships, short-term relationships, there's a really good question to ask is, how do you choose the right partner? So part of that is the logical mind, which is deciding, do you want someone for a short time, for a good time, or for a long time? Part of it is actually deciding you're not sure. So you're just going out there and seeing what happens, which is what I did for the most part of my earlier relationships. I wasn't really sure what I wanted, so what I did was go out there and see what happens. And because of that, I learned a few principles about how you attract love. I, as in my younger years, used to fantasize quite a bit from, probably about 3 years old. I remember thinking about love very young, and I was obsessed with the fairy tales and the princess part. Yeah, that was interesting to me, the princess, but I was more interested in the romance from very early on. And I loved that thing of not knowing exactly what was going to happen and attracting something magically that then seemed to fulfill some new adventure or desire for being completely embraced by something. And I didn't even know what that was before I was sexual or understood anything about that stuff. So that's where a lot of our childhood stuff starts, with all the fairy tales, all of that stepping into the mystery of what is or what life is, or just excitement. We don't even know what that is, but it's exciting. So in my younger years, what happened was I had done a lot of fantasizing work, which is very much the same, if not exactly the same, as putting out a vision. And in coaching, what we do with clients is make them work on vision constantly. So you're crafting that vision of your ideal relationship or your ideal lifestyle. So I was doing that from very early on. And then what happened in my 20s was that I was manifesting these magical synchronistic events where I'd go to an event and then there'd be this person and they would magically or comically or tragically end up with me, and then the romance ensued. Now, for some people that idea is exciting, and for some people that idea is terrifying. So what I do encourage people is to look at your love story. I do say that the most important love story of all is yours, and it's got a couple of meanings. Of course, love yourself. Begin to love you, fall in love with you and your story, and then you begin to create that love in your life. That's one element. But if you look at your fantasies and what you desire in life from very early on, this is the other part where our stories begin to manifest. And it's in love, very poetic, romantic. It's also that part of us that we may put in a box as that's silly, or I shouldn't worry about that. Fortunately for me, because I was more of a creative person, I was able to let that part of me out and experience those fun love connections and romance. However, when it came to deciding what the right partner was, none of those relationships fit in the box, right? Commitment, monogamy, long-lasting, accepting me for who I was. So even though I had the romance and the excitement piece, the other parts of the box, which I didn't focus on as a child because I wasn't thinking about that. I wasn't focusing on long-term monogamy, commitment, accepting me as I was. Well, that was actually part of my fantasy, but the drama in my fantasies was at first the person didn't see my beauty or how amazing they felt about me, and then eventually they got it. So that's actually happened in my relationships. I've manifested that because I spent 20 years focusing on that. Then I started to realize that to get the complete picture, I had to start putting in the other elements, monogamy, long-term, accepting me who I was. And that was all parts of my love story, how to build that into the relationship after I got the new romance. So, of course, when you're going into choosing the right partner, some of the pieces that you need to insert there will be about how the person commits to you. But that first thing that I did naturally as a young girl, just feeling, the desire of wanting to love, was much more of that emotional, mystical, non-logical part of ourselves. And in these videos that I share every week, it's very much about the heart and going back to all of that mystical, magical feeling where you really feel what it's like to be excited and to also share that part of you that's yearning or longing to be seen, acknowledged, heard. So I teach that a lot, that what we're looking for in love is to be seen, acknowledged, and heard, not just at the physical personality level, but at that soul level. And for those of you who go through many relationships, what you may notice is that part of your love story is to develop what parts of you need to be seen, acknowledged, heard. So you may have found through your series of relationships that there's new aspects of you that are saying, hey, you got to acknowledge me over here, or look at this part of me. And that's all part of that evolving love story. For those of you in a committed relationship, you'll have the same journey as you go through time, because that's what happens with time. More of you needs to be seen, acknowledged, and heard. And if it's not, you'll find that's where a lot of the problems in the relationship are sourced from. So today, what we're going to manifest is a new romance with ourselves. What are those feelings that we can re-engage from the parts of us that we may have touched on them when we were younger, we may not have yet discovered, we may not have yet seen, acknowledged, or heard. And when you go into contemplative focus on yourself, or when you start to breathe into the body, which is a lot of my background, I discovered myself by literally just feeling my body. And for some people, it's not really as big a turn on for them. They don't want to feel their body. They connect to their heart and they immediately get a sense of, this is the feeling that I have in love. But for me, having been a much more physical, intuitive, I needed to go back into my body first to get to the feeling. And this is the biggest shift I see happening in relationships. If you look at all the online dating, it's very, in a way, two-dimensional, and you see the picture, and then if you meet the person in person, you get a different sense of reality. People have said they don't smell the person, and they don't have that guttural, physical 3D element of the person. So this interesting kind of phenomena of online dating has educated us that until you actually meet the person there's still that piece of that connection that may not be there. And ultimately, when we step out of that online dating space, we need to reconnect to what's inside here that needs to be seen, acknowledged, and heard. Because once you engage in a two-dimensional way or online, what happens is there's a lot of things going on up here. The mind gets really active, the doubts come in, and the mind is full of doubts about love because you may not have had great experiences, or you may have been hurt, or you just haven't found a person and you're really frustrated. So online, what happens is the mind gets super activated, and then it starts to kind of infiltrate and poison all of the stuff, the good stuff here in the heart. So what happens in the 3D with a person, and when you start to begin to experience them, is that because you've started with an online profile, you've already started a lot of judging or a lot of expectation management and doubt coming in, and it starts to interfere with the body and what the heart wants, and also the beliefs of the mind has started to say, well, I can't really get what I want. My heart's been wanting this since I was born, before I was born, forever wanting this soulful connection. But the mind is kind of already from the online expectation management or lack of management or over management has started to already doubt that that's possible. So what I say when you come to choosing is to remove that mind piece. We don't want to have the mind interfering with the process. We want to put that piece in a box and say, thank you for sharing, that's great, and I need to make sure that I get to address these areas of commitment, monogamy, respect, and other values I have. That's great, I've got that. That's pretty basic, you can write it on a piece of paper, I got that. But then I want to reinvigorate this heartfelt space and start to see what I'm feeling when I'm with the person. The ultimate way to choose is not to try to choose anymore. And online dating has been kind of a bad place for many people because they're trying to get it right. And that's not how relationships really magnetize and attract and bring two souls together. In fact, online dating can more be about trying to get through your issues or unresolved feelings about not being seen, heard, and acknowledged. So then you have these bad dating experiences and you go, see, I'm not seen, I'm not heard, I'm not acknowledged. And that overrides what your heart deeply yearns and longs for. And because fortunately me as a kid and into my adult years, I spent a lot of time fantasizing about that yearning and wanting and consummation of that yearning, I've got a really strong reservoir of love, I call it, to draw on, so that no matter what's going on with that exterior stuff, I start to go back to that. I start to key in and breathe and feel what's happening inside. So this process today is to just remind you to do that, because you can do it as long as you just see the thoughts coming and go, yeah, great, thanks, I hear you, and let's get back to what I'm feeling. And so choosing is when you don't try to have a choice, but you feel what's the best choice for you. If you are dating and you're with someone and you get these sort of intuitions that are like, they're always important. Women's intuition is for centuries been relied on for civilizations, let alone dating. So please, when you get those intuitions, sit down and go, you know, what's not vibing for me here? And even ask what's not being seen by this person, or what am I not feeling is in alignment with me right now? Just what am I not vibing, comfortable with? Because intuition itself is actually our biggest way of attracting a mate that's in alignment with us. And for some of you, you've probably attracted a mate who you thought was in alignment and it didn't last. Okay, so I'm going to talk about that briefly before we go into the connection exercise. So if you do attract, and I'm a good example of my past relationships, I used to go into this stream of emotions that I would attract someone and I would think, okay, this is the one, after having several experiences of feeling that way before with other potentials of the one. After a while, I realized that I needed to just get over that feeling that this is the one, because there was still that construct in my mind that I had to get it right. I had to make this relationship work or somehow fit into a box of expectation that would satisfy my family or society's concept of what I should be in and what sort of relationship I should be in. And that was very suffocating to the yearning in my heart. So then I took away more and more of my boxes when I let go of those concepts that I had to find the one and actually feed more what was that yearning in my heart to be seen, acknowledged, and heard. It's a very different way of choosing a partner, because then what happens is you actually create empowered boundaries about, well, I really need this part of me to be acknowledged. And rather than ruling out a partner, you can actually, as a woman especially, begin to educate your partner as to, look, sweetheart, I really want to experience this with you. Rather than saying then the guy's not doing this or they're not doing that, women have a capacity to really entice. And when we tap into that, it's a very much more inspiring way to inspire someone to love who may have not got the idea of how to do it, but once we tap them into the feeling of how to do it as a woman, we can help people access feelings. So once you tap them into the feeling of how to acknowledge or see you or hear you or touch you, then the relationship has that creative juice and potential to grow. So relationships are a process. They're not going to be perfect. And the more we step into how we can make the relationship juicy, creative, full of potential, the more that yearning for love inside of you is going to be fed. So it's an ongoing journey. It's a process. It's a juicy experience of how do I get myself to be seen, acknowledged, and heard. So let's begin then by listening to our body, okay? And seeing what's enticing us into that new romance, whether you're looking for it in a new romance, starting out, or beginning to feel like you need to inject your love relationship with some new romance. Okay, so breathe into that center of the chest. And we really want, with that heart-based feeling of choosing without having to think or try to make a choice, but we want that heart-based feeling to have a really full sense of that heart center in the body. So as you breathe, bring your awareness into all parts of that heart center. So we're going to focus the breath on the front part of the heart. So you can maybe feel the air coming up to the collarbones and the top parts of the lungs. And maybe even open the air into those front tips of the shoulder bones. So with your breath, you even begin to widen the capacity of that space for your heart to be seen, felt, acknowledged, heard. And then with the breath, bring your awareness to the sides of that heart. So even under your armpits, we don't talk about the pits that much, but if you open your arms and feel the space under the arms next to the sides of the heart center, as you breathe, you can breathe into the side of the lungs and the ribs. So it's almost like you imagine the ribs expanding with the breath and relaxing with the exhale. And with the breath, you begin to start to release tension in the side part of the lungs. The best way to open up this heart center and give it space to be seen, felt, heard, acknowledged is to begin to actually breathe and feel where parts of that surrounding part of the heart center might be shut down or need a bit more focus or enlivenment or just attention or just even relaxing. So feel how your breath can open up, maybe with a few sighs, letting go. Yeah. And then with the back part of the heart center. So if you're in a chair, you can feel more into the back shoulder blades by leaning into that heart chair if you have it for support. Or as you breathe, just opening up energetically with your imagination the extension of the back shoulder blades, almost into wings. So if you do yoga and you're used to like pulling down your shoulder blades, I'm just encouraging you to also feel and imagine how those shoulder blades might even have imaginary wings, as if they could extend behind you. And so it opens you up to the energy body of the back of the heart. There's a lot more movement and access to rotation of the shoulder blades when you open up to the potential of almost having movement beyond the anatomical body, the physical body, and imagine stepping into that wing space. It's a wider wingspan of your shoulder blades, and its ability for the air to access more into your energy body. So this time you can just try some gentle shoulder movements, some rolls, just as you use the breath and feel just any rotation or opening of the shoulder blades, the wings, side ribs, even rotating the head or moving, so you can actually start the spine to start to open into that heart area and feel the expansion with your own movement and breath. And allow the breath to soften. You can sigh. For some of us, it's better to move softly, and for some of us, we need a more energized movement to just shake it off, whatever might be limiting or closing in the heart. This time, as you breathe into the heart center, visualize the golden ball of energy coming right into the heart, filling up that heart center. And as you inhale, the golden light expands to fill all of that heart space that you've opened up to the front, up to your collarbones. And just exhale and let that energy start to expand with the inhale and the exhale, releasing anything that you need to or desire to. So as you breathe in, the golden light expands into your side ribs, opening up the area underneath your armpits, feeling the expansion of your wings behind you. And then as you breathe in, the golden light expands to fill up the throat and the heart. So from your heart center, you see that golden light expanding to fill up the throat. And exhaling anything that you wish to sigh out. And now as you breathe in, that golden light from the heart expands to fill up the brain. And as you exhale, releasing anything you're really desiring to release. So this time you feel the golden light expanding from the heart to encompass that brain. And you're feeling the heart and the brain starting to connect or just relax into each other. Heart and brain aligned, with who you desire to be. So as you sit in that connection between the heart and the brain, visualize the feeling that you wish to attract in that new romance. For some of you, you may just feel it in the heart center. What is that feeling you wish to attract in that new romance? And if you have an image of how you wish to interact, what you would like to be acknowledged, or what you would like to share in that new romance, then see yourself experiencing that fulfillment, that desire. Allow the golden light to fill up your heart so you can begin to fully experience that desire being fulfilled. And now we're going to ask for our higher self to make that connection to our heart. So if you wish, you can visualize a point 3 feet above the head or right above your crown, the top of your head. See the golden light there and make that connection from the top of your head down into your heart. You can see the golden line making that connection from the light above your head, your higher self, down into your heart. As you make this connection, ask for your choice in this new romance to come from your heart in alignment with the best outcome for your relationship. I'll say it again. Ask for this choice in this new romance that you are calling in to be in alignment with the best outcome for your relationship. As you breathe into the heart, listen to the following words so your heart begins to resonate with the feelings that are appropriate for the best outcome for the relationship you're focusing on, whether it be a new relationship that you're in right now, whether it be a potential new partner that you wish to attract, or whether it be a relationship that you have been in for some time and you wish to capture that romance and reinvigorate the relationship with it. So as you begin to accept the desire in your heart for this romance, simply ask to accept that the relationship you are in is revealing to you what you desire to be seen, acknowledged, heard, or felt within yourself. So what may you desire right now to be seen, heard, felt, or acknowledged in this relationship? As you breathe into the heart, see the golden light allowing you to accept what needs to be seen, felt, acknowledged, or heard. Use that golden light to fill it with love or acceptance or just your own presence, to be accepting of who you are. So now breathe into your entire body from the top of your head all the way down into the heart, down your torso, and down your legs to your feet. Feeling what it is that you are ready to accept and see. And you can place your hands on your heart center and just give gratitude to giving yourself this time to see what's ready to be heard, felt, and acknowledged. So thank you for joining, and take a time now to write down anything that you noticed was ready to be seen, felt, heard, acknowledged. I'm Angela Ambrosia, and I wish you much success in accepting who you are in your new romance. Thank you. Have a blessed week.